What is up, guys? This is Linthio coming at you with a discussion today about the prints in the new tournament pack. Now, if you don't know what it is, it's the OTS pack, and it is basically replacing what we had for the previous tournament packs, which was the Astral packs. We've had loads. It's been kind of in the inception since tournaments have been around. We had the tournament pack, championship pack, turbo pack, everything like that. All of those, and this is the new one. While there have been mixed reviews with this new set and new kind of prize support, I'm not really that much of a fan of it. There are a lot of things that I think have been done wrong, and I just really want to go over and talk about a couple of things. Maybe just where personally I'm not really a fan of it. Now you might think straight away, well, Olympia, you got Banful Marty's Ultimate Rare and Dark Claw, you've been using them. Yeah, fair enough. On a selfish standpoint, I would agree with you. But I'm looking at this as subjectively as possible and for the greater good of the whole community itself. So starting us off, we have three Ultimate Rares, obviously. We have the Masked Hero Darklaw, we have Banful Marty's, and then we also have Vanity's Fiend. First off, why do we have Vanity's Fiend as an Ultimate Rare? Vanity's Fiend has now made history being the only card to be printed twice in Ultimate Rare, Cyberdark Impact, and now it's being printed in this pack. Vanity's Fiend was already an expensive card. Even the commons and the rares were fetching a good amount of money. Now what I would expect Konami to have done was printed it as a super rare. I'm pretty sure everyone in this pack, everyone was expecting a print of Vanity's Fiend in super rare in this pack. But they went and made it an ultimate rare, which just baffles me. Because the same people who are running the ultimate rare version of Vanity's Fiend are going to be the same people who want to get this ultimate rare version. So what's the point? There'll be an argument there of which is the highest rarity, the original set first edition mint or this one because it's a tournament pack, but I digress, let's not get into that. It's a really wasted spot. Considering how these packs don't come up very often, why are we wasting slots with cards that just don't need to be there? Darklaw is kind of the only one that's really half decent because some people do use it. A card that is already difficult to get, which is already in a very expensive print, making it an ultimate rare and making it just as hard to get is not going to increase people wanting to play the deck. That's kind of the ultimate rares. Going on to the supers, there are an interesting amount. So we have Skull Pack Joker, Monkey Board, Lizard Draw, Guitar Turtle, and Dinoster Power Draco Slayer. Then we also have Typhoon, Droll and Lockbird, Imperial Iron Wall, Patrula, Inferno, Patrula, and Anti-Spell Fragrance. For me, the decent ones in that are Anti-Spell Fragrance, Typhoon, Droll and Lockbird. You can argue that Imperial Iron Wall and Dinoster is alright, but Imperial Iron Wall's already been printed to high heaven, so I'm not entirely sure why you want it as a super rare because it's still a very accessible common and ultra. Typhoon is a good one because that card is only printed once in the battle pack, and now that it's been printed in super rare, it's actually quite nice because some people do use it. Inferno and Patrulia is a nice one, let's say, for Infernoid, so it's not too bad. I don't mind, in fact I'll get onto that later, but I don't mind individual archetypes just having a single card or something bombed. Drawn Lockbird's nice because that saw a little bit more play and was only in a rare, I do believe, and I think maybe a common, but I'm pretty sure it was only a rare. Dinoster arguably shouldn't have even been a rare in the original set. I think that card should have been at least a ultra rare because it's just so good, and considering the questionable ultras in that set anyway, why wasn't it? Some people were calling for this to be an ultimate rare, and this has the power levels to be a legitimate ultimate rare, so why not? But then we look at the rest of the cards. 5 of the cards in the supers are based on one archetype. You have all of them which are performer pals, and then obviously Dinoster, which is it goes along with the archetype. For me, I just don't like it when one archetype takes up half of the rarity slots, simply because it's Konami's new play toy. A lot of people are playing the deck, and a lot of people I'm sure will be happy, but on the grand scheme of things, that's a very small amount of people when you actually think about it. These packs, I think, should be restricted to having 2 of anything from the same archetype, in the same rarity. because it just, especially in Super Rare, because it just allows people to see some of that older archetypes be printed, be rarity bumped. You know, there's still so many cards in this game that should have really been printed in certain rarities. If we just think of cards that could have had that slot in the Super Rares, you have Fog King, which desperately needs a print. You have Trick Clown, which arguably should have been an Ultra or Super Rare. You have Pendulum Core, which is one of the best cards in that deck. Masker Restrictor's been dying for a reprint ever since. Apex Avian has 2 prints, one only technically available for Europe, because we didn't really get the dual terminals, we have to import it. Kaiju Garmasil is one that, you know, would have been a really nice super because that's being used everywhere. King of the Feral Imps is another that just everyone's using. That card shouldn't have been a common. There's so many more that can be rarity bumped. I know that it goes down to the subjective opinion of a person like myself or anyone in this community what should be there. They could have chosen the Super Rares better. It half feels like they're saying, okay, sorry Pepe players, we hit your deck, have some pretty supers. It's not going to take away from what you did to them. And then for the commons, we have Advanced Zone, Cyber Dragon Nova, Mage Power, Michael the Arc, Light Sworn, the White Stunner Legend, Zombie Warrior, Skull Servant, a Battle or Warrior, Mizuki Summon Curse, Monster Gate, Allura Darkness, Flying Sea, Offerings to the Doomed. Out of them, Nova's a nice one because it was only in a structure deck and it kind of need to be reprinted, so I quite like that one. But honestly, that's kind of it. Michael was always accessible as an ultra rare. Allura Darkness might be the one that people say, hey, that's not bad, but you forget that you've had that printed so many times in common in structure decks. And then Offerings to the Doomed is a really random one. Yes, it hasn't been printed in a while, I don't believe, but who's using it? One of the things that half annoys me in this set is something like Zombie Warrior. Now, Zombie Warrior was a tournament pack for the OCG, and we've never had it printed in the TCG. So that's great. I love things like that. I really do welcome exclusives coming over into these packs, regardless of how old they are, how useless they are. It's still really nice for the collectors. But what I don't like is them printing the cards that are used for the Fusion Summon when they have been printed before. And I don't mean, oh, it's really hard to get them. It's not hard to get them. Skull Servant is not a difficult card to get. Battle Warrior from Number Hunters is not a difficult card to get. So why waste 2 slots on cards that people are never going to use? It's a tournament pack, so why don't you put cards that are being used in the meta for people who want to use them in tournaments? No one is going to use Zombie Warrior in a tournament. No one is going to use Battle Warrior in a tournament. I will not talk about Skull Servant because I use it in a tournament, but you get the picture. I feel like Mizuki's just been put in there for the Shinran Yui stuff. If you want to push Shinran Yuis, how about printing Archfiend's Skull, which hasn't had a print since Spell Strike Blast, I do believe? It's 1 print, 1 super rare, and that card is rocketed in price simply because of that, and it can only really be summoned by Spectral Sword. Why don't you print that instead of things like Mizuki, which is easy to get, Skull Servant that's easy to get, or Battle Warrior that no one will really use? Summoning Curse hasn't really been printed since the original one. Flying Sea is just there for shits and giggles. You can argue that Konami have done many things right with this pack, depending on what deck you play. And you can also argue Konami have done many things wrong with it, depending on what deck you play or depending on what opinion you have in the community. I think that some of the stuff they've done is right, but what I think they need to do with this set is look at meta cards. What cards are good, what cards could possibly be good in their eyes, and use them in the pack. Don't give us stuff that is just not used, because then what's the point in it? This pack, in my eyes, is meant to be given out at tournaments. It's meant to be given out to people who are playing in the tournaments, obviously. So why not just keep putting meta tournament cards in there? Honestly, I don't think it's that difficult because there isn't so much a question about licensing with these certain cards that are being used in the meta because they're all being used anyway. The Ultimate Rares, in my opinion, are meant to be pristine cards and prestigious cards that are used in high amounts that people really want to chase after. Not something that has never been used since the original days of like 2007. It's just a little bit disheartening because we don't get these packs very often. I really love for each space, arguably you could say a couple just for the imports to not be used, but each one to hold its own right and say, I deserve to be in this pack. So I want to know what you guys think of that little mini rant there. Do you think I'm right, or do you just think the pack is amazing and I am an idiot for disagreeing? So as I said, let me know down in the comment section below. Make sure to give me a like, comment, subscribe, and I should catch you guys later.